Today we're going to talk about how to use little objects from the kitchen section of the Dollar Tree in order to help your kiddo improve their fine motor skills. Stay tuned. Lauren, what are you doing with all of these super fun colored kitchen utensils? Well, first of all, they're tiny and adorable and I'm obsessed with them. But more importantly, I got them at the Dollar Tree and immediately I thought, how fun would these be to utilize as therapy tools? And one of my favorite games to play with other physical therapists and occupational therapists is, so you go to the dollar store, what do you buy and how do you make it therapeutic? Because it's such a fun game and therapy equipment can oftentimes be kind of expensive, and so having that creative mind to find cheap alternatives and then turn them therapeutic is one of the most fun things about pediatric physical therapy and occupational therapies. This one is oven mitts. They're a plastic rubbery structure. What I love about this is actually the oven mitt motion, or the talking hand motion, is A, this could be a puppet, but B, you're working on your lumbrical grasp. And your lumbrical grasp is really important for developing future grasps, and then also to have strength in your fingers in order to do a bunch of things. Trying to pick things up with these mitts, what it does, gives them kind of a constraint to learn how to move their hands in this manner, instead of just being like, I don't really like this, like this, like this. Like, what do I do? Stick your hands in the oven mitt and you grab things. Next, we have these super fun tongs, you guys. How cute are these? So what I love about these is you have a little bit of a hinge, essentially. So if your kiddo is struggling, you can kind of put a little bit of a buffer, almost like with bowling, like having little bumpers there. Otherwise, this is kind of a big amount of resistance. But again, you're working on that grasp where you're bringing things together. You're bringing those fingers together so that you can pick objects up. This also requires, see if I can get this out of the way, like hand-eye coordination. So you have to grab the object and then hold that resistance, so hold that squeeze as you bring it out and then release. And so that's, again, working on a similar function that you would need to grab an object, hold that resistance to hold the object, and then release that resistance. I've got like a little soup ladle and then just kind of a regular spoon. And what I love about these is, in order to scoop objects, you really need to work on that wrist motion. So if I stabilize my elbow here, if I need to scoop something, look at how much my wrist is moving in order to scoop that up, and then to hold that, and then to go to dump it. You're using a lot of this supination and pronation motion, and kiddos need that motion in order to be able to write. And then also it's difficult for them to develop the strength more distally. They develop strength in their shoulders first, then their elbows, then their wrists, then their fingers. And so if you have weakness in any of those joints, you need to go back and strengthen the other joints in order to then be able to get that mobility in your fingers. This one, I would work more on scooping and dumping. This one, you can kind of work on this scooping motion, or scooping, holding, stabilizing, because it doesn't have as high of ridges here, so it's going to be easier for beans or something to drop out of it. So it's going to require more steadiness to bring to a different spot and then dump it into kind of the preferred container. So almost like an obstacle course where you scoop some beans up and then you have to walk this over or scoop it up from one side, rotate, but maintain the steadiness of this spoon in order to cross midline and then dump it. Let's get started. Let me kind of pull out my beans, pull out my fun toys, and show you guys how I would use them with a kiddo in real time. So I'm gonna work on the soup ladle first. Usually I pick two colors of the same object, and I will ask the kiddo, do you want blue or green? And what this does is it allows them to have a choice, feel as though they're in control, and it also works on colors and other academic things, including I have the power as a child to make a choice. And that's really important for academics going forward, and then also just social development. Okay, so I picked green. You would want to avoid having a kiddo hold it with a fisted grip, and then work more on holding it with kind of the thumb on top and the fingers behind. Again, I'm not an occupational therapist, so grip and grasp is not my strong suit. That is more of an occupational zone of genius or scope of practice. So if you are worrying about how your child is grasping an object, absolutely please reach out to your pediatrician and request a referral to Pediatric Occupational Therapy, and they'll be able to help kind of with that finger mobility, strengthening, and grasp. So I'm gonna bring this down, and I'm gonna have the kiddo scoop, and then if this is on this side, maybe I'm holding this object, I'm kind of like keeping this here, right? And then I'm gonna have them rotate a little bit and practice dumping. I might hold it up a little bit. I might bring it to the same side. It really depends. Personally, if I was working with a kiddo, I would get like a much bigger bin so that you can have them bring it in different planes. So maybe even like reach forward and dump it, work on bringing it higher, bringing it lower. All of these looking almost as the kiddo in a bunch of planes. So like table height and below, table height and above, left side, forward, right side, and then maybe a little bit of this back corner on either side as well. And using all those planes and areas of motion, so you're working on core control, rotation, reaching, as well as kind of that grasp. And then having them really practice on dumping. If all those planes of motion are too difficult, then just work on just dumping right in front. I would work on both sides. For kiddos, especially if they're not yet, they don't yet have a dominant hand, working bilaterally is really important. You could give them two and say, okay, now both at the same time. And that way you're working on bilateral coordination, and that makes it a little bit harder on our brain to know and coordinate motion. So the next thing is with the spoon. Now with this spoon, you're gonna really wanna make sure that the kiddo keeps it level. And so if they really struggle, you might need to get a tabletop so that their elbow is supported, so that they're able to kind of pick something up, move it, and dump it, so that joint below is isolated. Or you might just need to give them some support underneath their elbow as they move so that they can really work on this scoop, hold steady, dump. Because that's what we're doing when we eat. We're scooping, we're holding it steady, and then we're dumping it kind of towards us. You want to scoop something, bring it over, dump it. Scoop something, bring it towards you, dump it. Scoop something, bring it up, dump it. So you're just working on kind of those different planes of motion. Towards you, to the left, to the right, up. And those are each gonna require different demands. So next thing we have is this guy, and this guy is super fun. You can pick up bigger toys with this. I have these little dinosaurs. You could create a game where you had to like, this is like the big Godzilla. You could like put little eyes on it. make noises like nom 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 nom, I'm coming to get you, and then their job is to essentially pick up a dinosaur, walk over, and put him in like the dinosaur jail or something over here. And so maybe the goal that you're looking at as far as strengthening is A, to work on kind of some hand-eye coordination, finger strengthening, but also to work on getting up off the floor, walking to a place, squatting to put them in the jail. So for example, if we're sitting here, you like roll a dice maybe. Okay, I need 6 dinosaurs, but that's not gonna be realistic, so let's just go with 1. And then they have to kind of hold this dinosaur, get up, stand up, walk over, squat down, release, and put the dinosaur in his dinosaur jail. So the biggest part that you're working on is kind of this lumbrical grasp, and then holding the dinosaur, walking to a different place, or crossing midline, rotating, dumping the dinosaur into another container, or some other magical world with different rules that you guys may come up with. Creativity is fun. Maybe let the kiddo create his or her own storyline as well. Another favorite is these guys. Because they have a little bit more resistance, I would encourage you to kind of use them in closer context. Maybe the dinosaurs, okay, so the dinosaurs are on the left side and dinosaur jail is on the right side. So I'm using my right arm to cross midline to pick up a dinosaur, and then I have to carry them over and drop them in the dinosaur jail. And maybe my therapist is a little tricky, or my mom, and the dinosaur jail moves because it's in space, and that's cool. And you can drop it there, maybe it moves like over to the corner, so then you gotta hold it, and then you gotta get up and reach. And then maybe the really tricky, and then it goes behind you, and so you have to not only cross midline to here, you gotta even rotate further backwards. So the big purpose with this is that you're utilizing more of your pincer grasp a little bit, where it's like kind of the first 3 fingers, and you're holding that resistance using precision to drop it into a specific area or container. Also, I got these dinosaurs at the Dollar Tree. The Dollar Tree is my absolute favorite place to get inexpensive toys that kids actually super love. Those are just some really easy ideas that you can utilize to strengthen the grip muscles and your hand muscles. Again, it's really important for kiddos in the future with writing, grasping, typing, all of those types of things. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe. It helps our channel be viewable to other parents and therapists who want to help kiddos move better and explore their environment. Thanks.